Welcome to Monday of Holy Week, as we look at what happened in the life of Jesus that day. As Jesus and his disciples were making their way from Bethany to Jerusalem on Monday morning, Jesus' stomach started rumbling and growling in hunger as his eyes came across a fig tree flushed with leaves. Now, normally the figs would appear on a tree before the leaves would, but to Jesus' disappointment, this tree bore no fruit. The purpose of a fig tree isn't to don pretty leaves, but to bear fruit. A fig tree with leaves and no figs is of no good. The goal of a fig tree isn't to be pretty on the outside, it's meant to provide fruit that can fill you on the inside. Sometimes something can look good on the outside, but be empty on the inside. That's true of leaves, and it's true of human beings as well. And what seems like a drastic overreaction, Jesus curses the fig tree. He says, "May you never bear fruit again." Jesus didn't hate trees. To be clear, he made trees. He wasn't in the habit of just going around and zapping trees with curses. This was a dramatic prophetic action. Jesus wasn't frustrated with the fig tree. He was frustrated with how the city of Jerusalem, the tree set outside of, was frustratingly just like the fig tree. Pretty on the outside, lacking fruit on the inside. As he entered Jerusalem and made his way into the temple courts, we soon realized that Jesus wasn't done with his dramatic prophetic displays for the day. He encounters people selling and buying animals and oil and wood and other necessary items required to offer sacrifices deeper in the temple. There are money changers converting Roman and Greek currency into temple currency in order for them to pay the temple tax. Jesus responded by turning over tables and benches of the merchants and money changers and didn't allow anyone to make it through the temple courts with their merchandise. In an unexpected outburst to those on the scene, Jesus had temporarily shut down the operations of the temple in Jerusalem. But this outburst wasn't unexpected to Jesus. He'd been plotting this since he wept over Jerusalem as he approached it the first time. He'd been mapping this out since he took the depressing tour of the temple the night before. What's the deal with Jesus? Between the cursing of a tree and making a big mess in the temple, this doesn't seem very Jesus-like for Jesus. Did he simply wake up on the wrong side of the bed and have a case of the Mondays? Here's a couple of things to keep in mind. If your picture of Jesus is one where he is always warm and cuddly, you have an incomplete picture of Jesus. Yes, Jesus is merciful and compassionate, but he's also a judge. So the question is, what was he judging? Well, the two Old Testament passages that he quotes after the outburst give us insight into what he was judging. He said, "Is it not written, my house will be called a house of prayer for all nations? But you have made it a den of robbers." In the first part of the quotation, Jesus is citing Isaiah chapter 56, verses 6 and 7, where it says that God will bring foreigners to Jerusalem who have bound themselves to him, serve him, love him, minister him, keep covenant with him, and he will give them joy in his house of prayer. Jesus was bringing judgment on the temple because instead of it being a light to the Gentiles, a dispenser of joy to anyone that would seek God, it had become a nationalistic hub that kept the nations out. Non-Jewish people were only welcome to enter the temple premises to a certain extent, but they were excluded from being fully a part of the worshiping people of God. Also, in calling the temple a den of robbers, he's exposing the fact that the merchants and money changers were doing more than providing a resource. They were upcharging these items necessary for worship in order to line the pockets of the people in authority in the temple. On this Monday of Holy Week, let Jesus' judging actions with the fig tree in the temple put a little fear of the Lord in you. God doesn't desire your empty actions. He desires an overflowing heart that produces actions. If your church isn't an open door for all to enter and experience the joy of the Lord, it isn't a ministry unto the Lord, but a ministry unto you. The goal of the church isn't to profit off of the generosity of others, but to turn generosity into more generosity. After the dramatic events during the day on Monday, Jesus and his disciples made their way back to Bethany to spend the night. Rest was needed. Tuesday would be one day closer to Friday. Tuesday would be filled with tension. His actions in the temple basically signed his dissonance with the Jewish leaders, but they couldn't act yet because the crowd was so amazed with his actions and teachings. Just like yesterday, don't take my word for it. Go read about the events of Monday of Holy Week for yourself. You'll find the Bible references in the description of the video below. Join us tomorrow as we look at Tuesday.